Yeah. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Long as I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. Sports coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like Elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your shame for the championship. Bucking on town, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy and you probably smell the crooked referees or Roger Goodell. Yeah, money like this and I'm a who that. Every day I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like this and I'm a who that. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
All right. Shout out to the mighty Who That Nation, man. We up in this thing. The Great Saint Think Tank representing. Shout out to the fam. Appreciate y'all being in this Monday wrap-up stream, man. Much love to the family as our black and gold have climbed and clawed their ways back up to 500 and now 7-7, 4-3 at home with a very solid win against a team that was pretty hot. 3-game winning streak. All of the stuff behind DeVito. Saints did a wonderful job smacking them down. In today's broadcast, we're going to do a little recap on that thing. Then we're going to move on, look at the standings, look at Sunday's injury report, and we're going to react to Dennis Allen's Monday presser. And then at the back end of the show, we're going to go over to kind of peer into the future, just a slight look into the Saints' future and what it's going to look like in 2024 after the season. What are we facing? Just a brief look through. So shout out to the fam. Appreciate y'all being in the stream. Please feel free to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. By all means, feel free to share the show on the social media feed. Shout out to brother Derek. Trey, shout out to you God's appointed one. How you doing, sir? St. Doug, how you doing, brother? Appreciate you as well. Brother Kai's in this thing. Brian, shout out to you, my friend. OG Jerry, Daniel, what's up, Chantel? Shout out to the Queens. Swagged Out Entertainment is in the building. Shout out to you. What's up, Lori? How you doing? We appreciate you being in the stream. Good to see you. All right, 504. Shout out to your fam and all the fam, man. Gregory, big ups to everybody, man. Appreciate y'all being in the live. Y'all hit the like button. What's up, brother Wallace? How you doing, sir? Appreciate you. Rush Hour, what's happening, man? Good to see you as well. What's up, Tuck? Shout out to you people. It's good to see y'all in the building. Avis, how you doing, fam? Much love to the queens and kings of the coma. We up in this thing Monday stream. And first, before I get going, I'd like to give a shout out to Christopher Waterman. Shout out to Christopher Waterman with a very generous cash app today. He says, y'all rolling with it now, cuz let's win out. There you go. Shout out to you, Christopher. Appreciate you, man, with the cash app, brother. Thank you.
I want to say thank you very much. Picking me up and bringing me back to this world.
All right. Always good to start the broadcast off with some love. Shout out to the fam. How you doing, Sean? Shout out to you, my brother. Who that Fly Pelican? Much love. Good to see you as well. What's up, EJ? Good to see you in the building as well. Good to see you. Daniel, how you doing, sir? Big ups to you. What's up, Josh? Shout out to you, my brother. Good to see you. All right. We got it. We got it. We understand you. We got you now. We got it. All right. So big ups to the fam, man. Listen. Like I said, yesterday's matchup, man, against the Giants, not to overlook it, it was a very solid win. Very spectacular win. Love with the defense. You know, we did the recap stream yesterday. I just loved what the Saints defense did. Demario Davis set the tone. He was doing damn near everything in the first half. He was getting sacks. He was making tackles. I think he had like almost 10 tackles. Some 7 to 8 tackles by halftime or something like that. It was something weird, but he kind of calmed down because everybody else fed off of his energy and got going. He was out there doing the Kamehameha, everything. He was letting it all out. And DeMario set the tone in a major way for the Saints against the Giants. They went in there and the Saints dominated. They didn't allow them to run the ball. They turned Saquon Barkley into Charles Barkley out there. He couldn't do nothing. They turned Tommy DeVito into Danny DeVito out there. The Saints defense turned these guys into literal over the hill actors and over the hill basketball players with bad commentary. So I mean, it was just they just were excellent yesterday, and the energy was so good that it literally took Derek Carr, who was struggling, off and on this season. He was struggling in that first half. He got a touchdown, but the offense stuttering, fumbling, and bumbling. Then in the second half, they were able to kind of turn it on. So they did a lot of stuff. We got some stuff we're gonna do on tomorrow's stream too. We're gonna show both the matchups. I'm gonna release the tape for last week's matchup and this week's matchup for Patreon as we do our TSC broadcast tomorrow on Patreon. But yeah, it was cool, man. DeMario was awesome, man. He was awesome, and not only him, but so many other people were showing out. Tanu Passanio balled out, 2.5 sacks for Tanu. You had Brian Bursey, who had 2 sacks in the game. Carl Granderson got sacked. Zach Bowen got going. I mean, DeMario got one. So the Saints had 7 sacks on, I might as well call him Danny DeVito because he played like him, and literally beat the hell out of the Giants. They went limping home. They beat the quarterback up. They demolished the Giants, all of their stuff, and they just sent them home, man, just with their tail between their leg. And it was just awesome, man. Let me just say that. Now, I'm going to play Dennis Allen's today's presser. Let me just comment on something. And this is pretty positive commentary. And I don't want it to be, I just want to just point out something. Yesterday at the end of and I meant to mention it during the show yesterday, but I was loving the win. When you talk about Derek Carr, he even made it a point to pinpoint and say Derek Carr. Usually it's the player or something like that. But he made it a point to make sure everybody gave comeuppance to Derek Carr. And Derek Carr did a wonderful job yesterday, finally. He got a touchdown in the first half, and then he was able to put the game on ice in the second half. You did. So it's not the fact that people don't like Carr, right? They just want him to perform. They just want him to do the job that the Saints are paying him to do. I don't think anybody out there want the man to fail. If they give him the money, once they sign the deal on the dotted line, it's like, that's the guy. But we want you to step up. And listen, I don't care what any of them say. If you don't put pressure under their feet or keep their feet to the fire, that's called accountability. If so many people would be so fortunate to have people that care enough to make sure they perform to the standard that was set by the family members. You get what I'm saying? I have people that are saying right now, they write articles and say, oh yeah, Derek Carr's keeping the Saints people quiet right now. No. Derek Carr is doing what we want him to do. He's doing what we want him to do. He's making completions finally. He's throwing touchdowns to people finally. And even though I watched the footage of the game yesterday, he was still staring people down. It just so happened the guys he was staring down were wide open. So at the end of the day, let's not, and I'm just a guy that's just an anti-propaganda guy, man. It's just like I'm a straight shooter. I see right through it. So, and then I have a memory. So I do remember the things. So that makes me kind of, and a lot of people, the Great Saint Think Tank, just remember, say, hold on now. I still remember what I said 8-9 months ago, even last year, 3 years, 4 or 5 or 6 years or whatever it was. I still remember, because you don't have to deviate all over the place. You're a straight line, slight to the left or slight to the right, whatever you got to do to get the straight line. But the majority of the time, you're on point. You're on point. So anyway, when he says that about giving Carr his comeuppance, I just want him to do the same thing when Carr struggles and he throws pick sixes. Don't say that we got to play better as a team when he screws up. But then when he does well, you want to shout out his name and make it a point to give him comeuppance. Do the same thing when he screws up. That's all I have to say about it. That's called being fair. That's being fair. Don't sit up here and say, as a team, we have to perform better. It's not on any individual player when we lose, but when we win, he won't stay, want to give him the comeuppance. Nah, bro, we gonna play it straight. He deserves credit yesterday because he performed at the level we wanted him to, but it's still a lot of places to go here. It's still a lot of room to improve. But he did well yesterday. You can't take that away from him. All right, shout out to brother Brent. He says, we up in this thing, Big Q. Who that to you? Appreciate you, Brent. Much love. He says, Zach Bourne be like, he'd be like he on the Audubon. Yeah, he would. Zach Bourne perform. Yeah, and that was the thing about Zach Bourne. Zach Bourne is playing better because he's playing the natural position that he did when he was at Wisconsin, family. Go watch the film. He does have athletic ability, but he was never a linebacker, stand-up guy, drop into coverage guy. They tried to change him into something, and you can't do that with everybody, you know. And then they say, you know what? Finally, we're going to accept this and do this. After missing out on Eric Wilson, after missing out on Jalen Smith, missing out on those guys, and then getting beat out by Nephi Sewell, they said, you know what? Let's just turn him into what he was college. And it just took 4 years to get there. But I'm finally they're here to understand the man has talent. This is what he was doing at college that got him 11 sacks. That's why he looks good at it. He's doing what he's supposed to do, what he's really good at. And that means rushing the passer from that side, a situational pass rusher in the sub package. You know, now when when Peyton Turner comes back, we'll see what happens there. You see what I'm saying? Because Cam's still banged up. They're kind of keeping him down to certain reps, but we'll see what happens once Peyton Turner comes back, because he's getting close to start doing some reps, and we can use that as well. But thank you, Brent. Appreciate the cash chat, bro. Thank you.
I want to say thank you very much. Picking me up and bringing me back to this world.
Yeah, I said it, bro. But and this is the thing too. It's the family members want to win. A lot of people want Dennis Allen gone because there are reasons for that, and that's why I said that's why the sports coma is wildly so popular. I'm not going to sit up here and talk to you guys and tell you guys that that corporate spill. There's enough people out there doing that. There's enough people talking the corporate spill stuff. You know, you know what the corporate spill stands for. You know what you know when you hear it, what it is, because it's so manufactured, it's out there, you know. But the coma is going to keep it real deal, Holyfield, regardless of not. And that's why people love the coma, because we tell it like it is, regardless. If it's for us or against us, it is what it is. And that's the line. So when we see people don't like Dennis Allen, they want him to get fired, you know, I understand why, because people are like, well, why is that? That's wrong. Well, he shouldn't stand up there and lie about stuff. He gets caught in several lies. You know, it's stuff like that. It's different things that he do, the backstabby ways. He lying to Jameis Winston. He backstabbed him. And people see he's petty with some of his actions from the past. So when people see you doing certain things, your reputation precedes you. And then when that happens, people form a thought about who you are as a person. And that's why they said, you know what? And then it's on his how he's directing a team. Up until this point, they picked up 2 wins. It's positive. Well, we just got back to 500, baby. We ain't in control of the division yet. We got there. We finally climbed and clawed back up. We after losing 3 straight games, we won 2 straight games. So what does that mean? That means that we 500. That means that they say we tied for first place, isn't it? You said we tied for first, yeah, 7-7, but the guy ahead of us got the tiebreaker, which really makes us second place until we beat that guy and keep winning to climb above them. But regardless of not, the big question is, everybody's happy that we got this win. We just need to keep the damn thing going. Can we keep it all going? All right, so anyway, shout out to the fam. Appreciate y'all for being in the stream. Much love. And that's what it is, and that's how it is, you know. People are at bay right now. People want to see Dennis, majority of us want to see Dennis Allen succeed because I want to see him succeed. I want to see my team succeed because I want to go to the playoffs. I want to be able to break this 2-year slump of not making the damn playoffs. I'm tired of it. I want to see something different, So we got to see something, man. We got to see something. Anyway, back to the Giants breakdown. The Giants game was the Saints just beat the hell out of them. The tape shows it. The offensive line did a very good job of blocking. Let me give some comeuppance because I talked about my defense, but let me give some shots out to the damn offense. And I'm talking about, in particular, the offensive line. The offensive line played a very solid game for most of the game. Now, I would still want them to be stronger and more aggressive running the ball, but at the same time, shout out to Landon Young. Landon Young did a very good job yesterday for the Saints, starting at the right tackle position when Ramczyk was out. He was solid there. He played really well, and I don't know a lot of people giving Landon Young some compliment, but I was kind of shaky on Landon Young yesterday. But before he started, I was like, oh, Lord. But Landon Young played a solid football game. Probably one of his best games as a starter since he's been down here, since the Saints took him in the, I want to say the 5th round, maybe the 5th or 6th round, I forget. But Landon Young played a solid game at the right tackle position with Ramczyk missing. Solid game. Shout out to all of our wide receivers, our skill set players. They were phenomenal. Keith Kirkwood caught a touchdown. Jimmy Graham did his thing. Our tight end stepped up and made plays, which we knew that our wide receiver group is dealing with injuries. Our tight end group is not. So the tight end group, if you noticed, the only group for the Saints skill set positions, the tight end group is the only group that's not dealing with any significant, is not dealing with any injuries. Foster Monroe, Jimmy Graham, Taysom Hill, Juwan Johnson, they are all there, and they made an impact yesterday, blocking and catching of the ball. Rashid Shaheed had several really key grabs that did some positive stuff. Lynn Bowden Jr. did a stellar job. And, of course, Alvin Kamara, he was wonderful in the game. So, like I said, man, the tight end group, which we know was one of the most diverse groups in the NFL that we have here in the black and gold building, they stepped up in the matchup against the Giants, which was very good. We needed that. So I just wanted to give some comeuppance to some of those other guys not talked about in terms of the defense, but the offense did a stellar job. And those guys like Landon. Like I said, Landon Young, shout out to you. I was kind of shaky on Landon, but Landon played really well at the right tackle position. He started in place of Ram, and he did a stellar job. He really did. And the Saints did a really good above, I ain't gonna say decent. They did a really good job in protecting Carr, where he can stand tall in the pocket, step up into the pocket. I've seen stuff from Carr in the Giants game that I hadn't seen consistently over all of these games of him starting. Him actually stepping up in the pocket and throwing with confidence. Y'all seen that? Did y'all see that? He stepped up and threw and delivered in the pocket with confidence. Hadn't seen a lot of that this season. Him selling the screen. Really sold it. The best sell job on the screen I've seen so far this year happened in the Giants game. He looked right and stared right, and then at the last moment turned left and threw the ball. I mean, he sold the hell out of a perfect way. He sold the hell out of the screen. He was Ronnie Lamarck on that screen. He sold the hell out of it, And then he had other things that was really popping for him with, in the second half, that he did really well. Now, there's still a lot of stuff in this guy's game that he got to clean up, but a lot of very positive stuff that we've seen in the matchup against the Giants. So with that being said, man, I just thought it was a very good performance by our team. We're 7-7. We're climbing, and here is the standings. As you can see right now in the NFC South, to see the Saints second place underneath the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, tied record-wise 7-7. We know that the Bucs control the tiebreaker. So Atlanta lost to the Carolina Panthers yesterday. They're currently on a 2-game slide. That's pretty rough and got to be tough for you to lose to Carolina, who get their second win of the year, 9-7. I kind of went over there to Lowe's channel the other day and kind of poked at them, you know, kind of poked at them. Yeah, kind of made fun of them a little bit, you know. But anyway, Falcons looking up at both the Saints and the Buccaneers, and the Saints on the short week got a difficult matchup against a Rams team that also won. So anyway, if we dare look at the playoff picture, let's take a peek. As you can see, the NFC side here to the right side, Niners, Eagles, Cowboys. You can see those are the teams there, the top teams, and then teams that's listed in the hunt. You got the Lions at 3, the Bucks at 4, the Vikings at 6, the Rams, who are also 7-7. They won, like I said, the Sunday afternoon. They beat the Commanders. I was about to say the Skins, the Commanders, and they're sitting up there at 7-7. So, like I said, the Saints now are on the bubble. There's a call them on the bubble team. Just looking at the playoff window, I think Seattle is. I don't know if Seattle in Philly's playing today, so I don't tonight. I don't know what's going on with that. Last time I checked, I believe it was tied, but it don't matter. And then of course you see the Falcons down there at number 10. So the Saints they could kind of climb a bit, but that's what I was saying. The only win for the Saints is to take care of business by beating out, just winning out. And Dennis Allen's approach of doing this thing where he says one game at a time, that is a very simple and yet good way to look at it. 1-0 every week. With 1-0 stratagem, he first started saying that consistently 2 weeks ago. We just got to go 1-0. It's better than the dumb chopping wood bull crap, to be honest with you. We just got to go 1-0 every week. Kind of, and the team is buying into we got to go 1-0. So they win. They broke the 3-game slide last week. They are now on a 2-game winning streak, and now they have an opportunity against a Ram team that is playing really good football too. And it's going to be a lot. The difficulty level goes up a lot. And we're going to preview this game later on Wednesday. But it goes up several notches or so because of the competition the Saints are going to be facing with Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp and so many other really talented players for the Rams. The Saints going to have difficulties, and they're going to have to bring it against the Rams. So like I said, we'll look at that as we keep it going. So anyway, let's start it off with the injury report, or lead it into the injury report of today's injury report. Saints players listed Monday, projected injury report. And of course, this is Saints did not participate or practice, rather, on the 8th. The players mentioned below are an estimation of their practice status. So Saints on a short week, they got to turn stuff around. So with who they got on this list, there's Isaiah Foskey, the snowman, there with the quadriceps. Safety Lonnie Johnson Jr. has a knee issue. Dennis Allen will play him in a little bit. His presser, he talks about Lonnie Johnson Jr. A lot of really good questions were asked by our press guys. Running back Kendre Miller dealing with an ankle issue. Wide receiver Chris Olave also dealing with an ankle issue that kept him out of the game. Ramczyk with a knee issue as well. We got to watch that. So on a short week, is it possible for Olave and Ramczyk to come back on a short week? I wouldn't bet on it, but we'll see how it goes. Cam still dealing with the ankle issue. Granderson got a shoulder issue popped up on there. And Peyton Turner's on that list with a toe who was limited. So hopefully we'll see Peyton Turner get in there. As you can see, Peyton Turner got an asterisk next to his name right there. Let me see what that asterisk is. I thought it usually has an indication. They usually mark it right there. I don't see any key on there. They don't have a legend for it. But anyway, the Rams side of things, you got Trey Tomlinson, the defensive back, hamstring issue shut down. So the offensive lineman Joe Noteboom has a foot issue. He was DNP. Offensive lineman Rob Havenstein, groin limited. Defensive back Kello Witherspoon, who's been playing really good ball. He has a groin issue. He's limited. And wide receiver Tutu Atwell, the speedster, under concussion protocol, his injury, but he fully practiced, so he should be looking like he might be good to go against the Saints. So not a lot of injuries between both teams, but man, listen, this is just the Monday report to start off everything. So anyway, as we keep it going, let's get ready to get to Dennis' side of things and hear what Dennis Allen has to say in the presser. We'll play it momentarily. Let me get a shout out to the family members in the building. Shout out to you guys. Appreciate you being here. Abraham, Quavedis. Shout out to you. Pelicans Nola. Good to see you. All right. Appreciate you. All right. So, and then, of course, Brian says if we don't make the playoffs, but I hope we make the playoffs, get rid of Dennis Allen as soon as we find out Bill checks available, bring him to New Orleans for an interview right away. The thing is, I don't know. Like I had this injury, this nightmare scenario I told the family members about on the back of the Giants Saints Giants matchup. I talked about all of the stuff that occurred, and next thing I know, I was saying to myself, if something happened with Bill Belichick leaving Boston or New England and going to the Carolina Panthers, taking the Carolina Panthers job. Also, the nightmare scenario was Saints keeping Dennis Allen, the Carolina Panthers getting Bill Belichick, and the Atlanta Falcons drafting Jaden Daniels as their quarterback. And we just stick with Carr and Allen. Yes, that was pretty bad. I hope that's not a look into the future, to be honest with you, man. I really do. I really hope it's not. Pete asks, Big Q, I think in my opinion, they listen to the podcast and the people opinion. Yeah. You look at the difference they're making by the conversation. I'm peeing it straight. Yeah, bro. You're right, Pete. And like I said, we ain't just, we ain't exactly running the mill. We've been around for a while. So I mean, when you've been around for a while and you're thorough, you're consistent, things get, and like I said, there's several people. I ain't gonna name who they are or tell you it, but there are people in the building that don't have any particularly to do with the football team, even though they know and they listen. But it's certain, and I'm like probably in the near future, I'm gonna start getting certain people to come in. That's not my focus. My focus is just straight real commentary, and just tell it like it is. But down probably in the near future, I'm gonna start kind of switching a few things up. But the reality is, there are people absolutely nothing to do with being an athlete or nothing. I mean, these are people that make it happen. That handle a lot of the stuff that we don't even think about in the building that's down there. It's not just the athletes. There are people that actually put the work in to make it look a certain way, that are people in that building that listen to the show. So, like I said, the word is there, and the thing is. And that's good, because I want them to understand that you can't separate yourself from the family base to come to them for support. And I'm talking financial support or otherwise, or whatever they want you to do. The majority of the time you do it. But when I ask you to do something, and when I say I mean us as a whole, the entire collective of the Who Dat Nation. When we ask you to perform, don't shut us out and call us noise. That's disrespectful. But we're not noisy when you want the damn money. You get what I'm talking about? You can't have it both ways. You can't write it like you want it. Maybe at one time you used to be able to, because people wasn't paying attention to that. But now in this day and time, they are. And and I ain't gonna say they're a lot smarter than the predecessors, because that's disrespectful. But it's just a different vantage point that they're looking at. They got the predecessors' point of view and their own, and they're looking at everything. So you can't come to the family members and ask for support for whatever endeavor that you're doing. And whatever monies that we provide to keep the buildings together and whatever else stuff, don't come to us unless you listen to us. That's what I'm saying. Now that you can't get no fairer than that. Yeah, but ain't no doubt about it, bro. Yeah, one game at a time. Keep chopping. Gas tanks. Keep chopping gas tanks. Damn, that'd be kind of explosive there. Keith says problem with the pick sixes is also because of some of the receivers. They don't run the right routes. Do you call exactly, Keith? Thank you. So he did, and he did call them out. He called them out. Remember? So that's what I'm saying. That's the thing that really infuriates people about Allen. Like, I'm just speaking to the people that want him gone, right? They would encourage. A lot of people would they would suffer losses, thinking that it would be enough to get them out of here because they don't want them. You see, they would really want to suffer losses and watch losing football to get them out. They didn't had enough. They didn't seen enough. Are they wrong? No, they're not wrong for how they feel. They could never be wrong with how they feel. Could never be wrong. That's just how they feel. But in the end, that's what I'm saying. When we see stuff like that, if you give Carr recognition by saying his name, and I'm talking from the previous press conference, the post-game press conference, when he came out and made it a point to put Carr in front of media and to you and say, listen, see, give him his credit. But you better do the same damn thing if he gets out there and throw interceptions. You better put him up there and put him in front of the damn crowd too and say, listen, he has to play better. You can't play it one way and not the other. And that's why I say it's just too much hypocritical nonsense that happens. And if you got to play it fair. You can't stand up there and say this and then don't expect it to go the opposite way too. You get what I'm saying? But you won't ever see that or hear that criticism, but you'll see the credit. So I give credit where credit is due, and I give criticism when criticism is due. And I'm fair with it, and I don't discriminate either way. Let me tell you something. I don't discriminate either damn way. All right, what's up, Tasha? What's up, Ramsey? How y'all doing, man? Appreciate y'all as well. All right. So anyway, with that, but I'm gonna have to get Sigler on the show, man. I like Sigler, man. And the thing about what I like about Sigler, he doesn't write like a sycophant. He writes like a person that follow like the people that's paying to go to the games, that's supporting the team, right? When the team underperforms, you can hear it in his writing, you can feel it in his writing. He is he's like, I got Bob up there, but John Sigler is a very good writer. He handles this, he talks about it. He's probably one of the top people that's on Dennis Allen all the time. He's on him, and I respect that, man. He's not a sycophant behind the team like some people can be, and they got some minions out there that'll sit around and peruse around and do softball interviews and answer questions for him. Or you don't have to answer because I answered. Y'all know who I'm talking about. I have to say who it is. But I'm gonna have to. That's right. Them guys, always, like I said, I'm gonna give Triplet a QZ. That's a new award. Y'all see, I'm telling y'all a little too much right now. We're gonna talk about that a little later on. Gonna talk about some of the award stuff later on. Dane says all I can say is that it's from what I heard yesterday. He did well, even if he was still suffering with his injuries. He didn't let them get the best of him, and he got the win. Exactly, bro. So bad injuries, broken ribs, whatever the case may be, pumped up with painkiller. That helps. Let me get a shot right here. Let me get a shot right here. Turn here. His shot right here. That boy got like 3 or 4 shots, man. He felt like a new man after that. All right, anyway, y'all put one in the chat. Here we go with Dennis Allen. Here we go.
He has jumped in a couple of areas these last couple of weeks. Red zone offense and also pass rush and getting to the quarterback sacks. What jumps out about those two categories that you can just kind of put your finger on?
Yeah, look, I think we've done a really good job of executing down there in the red area. I think guys have been a lot more precise in exactly what we're doing. I think we've run the ball better down there in the red area. And then, we've taken advantage of some opportunities in the passing game. So, and look, be quite honest with you, we've even increased more our emphasis on that area. And so kind of get what you emphasize. And I think the extra amount of practice that we've spent on the red zone has been good for us. And, look, in terms of the pressure, I think, I think Zach Bond being involved in some of our, sub package rush stuff, I think he's helped out a lot. I know, look, specifically last week, Tano working inside. He did a really nice job rushing inside. So there's and we've changed some things up. We've gone and had a little bit of, we got some 4-man rush. We got some 3-man rush, just changing up the looks in terms of what we're giving them. I think that's all been beneficial.
DA, for the red zone, why don't teams practice more than once a week on it normally? Is it just that's the way it was and everyone did it, or what's kind of behind that?
Yeah, look, I think it's differing philosophies, across the league. When I was with John Fox in Denver, we did do a little bit of red zone on Thursdays. And then the main day for red zone was on Friday. All the years here with Sean, we did red zone on Friday. We didn't work on it on Thursday. So, I just think it's different philosophies. Obviously, it was an area that we felt like, man, we got to figure this out. We can't keep doing the same thing over and over again, expect a different result. And so it was something that we had done defensively a couple of years back when we felt like we needed to improve in that area. And so we really kind of incorporated it with, amongst the whole team. And I really think both sides of the ball have benefited from it.
Hey, Dennis, with the practice window eligible to open for Marshawn and Michael Thomas this week, kind of where are both of them at with their rehab?
Yeah, look, they're both in the rehab process. Exactly where they're at, I can't tell you exactly where they're at. I don't expect the practice window to open, and so we'll just keep going through the rehab process and see how it goes, and hopefully, if either one of them's at a position where we feel like they can begin to practice, then we'll open up that window.
Coach, your predecessor was not a big fan of Thursday night games, and now on a short week, you have to fly thousands of miles to play a game. Your thoughts on that, and do you think it puts you at a very distinct competitive disadvantage to be in that situation?
Well, look, I mean, it doesn't really matter what I think. Obviously, our job is to go out and play the game, and yeah, it's tough. It's challenging when you have to go, on the road for a Thursday night game, particularly when you have to, travel across the country. This is the first year they've had teams that have had two Thursday night games in a season. We happen to be one of those teams, and so. Look, it is what it is. We got to figure out a way to get ourselves prepared and get ourselves healthy and healed up and ready to go for Thursday night. Because regardless of what we think or how we feel, we're going to kick that ball off on Thursday night, and we got to be ready to play.
Will you tweak your schedule at all this week to try to, I don't know if acclimate's the right word, you know what I'm saying? Do whatever you can to make it more tolerable.
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously, anytime you play a Thursday night game, we're going to tweak the schedule, significantly. You're trying to cram basically, 4 or 5 days of work into just a couple of days. So, but the practices will be, walkthrough oriented practices this week. It's all about really the recovery, getting guys' bodies back, trying to hopefully get them, freshened up and ready to play for Thursday night.
Dennis, if I could just one more follow up.
Yeah.
Do you think it's possible to play your best game in this kind of scenario, Coach?
Well, look, yeah. I mean, I think that's what we need to do. So that's what our focus is going to be. And then we'll go out and play the game on Thursday. And we all of us expect to be able to execute at a high level.
Sorry about that, Ed. Dennis, along those
excuse
lines,
me.
what is the challenge in just preparing for the Rams specifically on a short week and what they do well?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think defensively they're very active. They've got, obviously Aaron Donald up front is
All right, hold on, fam.
is a game changer in terms of,
DA.
what he can do both in the run game and the passing game. So he's a significant problem that we have to deal with. Witherspoon, I think, has been playing at a high level, this year, out on the edge. So I think
Witherspoon has been playing really well, man. He's on the injury.
they do some good things defensively. They play really hard. They play really aggressive. And then, offensively, I think, Sean McVay does as good a job offensively as any coach in our league in terms of just being able to package plays together. Kind of, they're not real exotic in terms of the formations that they use. They use a lot of the same formations same motions and get to a lot of different plays out of those looks. And I think they understand, how teams are trying to defend them. They understand in the run game where the force players are and how they have to try to, manipulate their offense to get players in the spots that they want them to be in. And then I think they do a really good job of executing, particularly in the play action passing game.
Given the postseason.
All right, shout out to Brent, man. Appreciate the cash out, bro. He says DA had a secret car sauce, those gas cans. Yeah, Mario, something was going on, man. The way they was playing in that game. He mentioned about those gas cans, man. They need to bring those damn cans for the rest of the year. I mean, he says, how many can the possum carry in a DA pouch? Gee, bro. Yeah, that's a sticking point, man. You always with the that's how you I think that's how you just he formulates the thought. Thank you for the cash app, bro.
I'm trying to say thank you very much. Picking me up, bringing me back to this
season is still in the conversation. Dennis, what does it say about this team, the way you guys have battled in the last two games, specifically last night, about quieting the noise this late in the season and still having an opportunity?
Yeah, look, I mean, our focus all along has really been kind of stick to our process. We know that we haven't always played as well as I think we're capable of playing, but our guys keep coming to work every day. We're working extremely hard, and we're trying to address issues and fix issues. And I think we've addressed a few and corrected a few over the last couple of weeks. But like I said last night, look, you're only as good as your last performance. And so we put the last 2 weeks behind us, and our focus is totally on the Rams right now.
Dennis, on Marshawn and Mike, I mean, is there optimism that they would be one or both of them would be eligible to play again this regular season?
I mean, honestly, I wish I could give you a better answer. I really don't know. I'm hopeful, but I really don't know the answer to that right now.
Darren Rizzi got a lot of attention yesterday for his rivalry with Tommy DeVito, his old high school rivalry, and his gestures was what was your reaction to that and Rizzi enjoying that moment so much?
Honestly, I'm not sure. I know they went to rival high schools. I'm not sure. I know that something happened in the game. I'm unaware of.
Oh, well, just a lot of cameras caught him doing the DeVito celebration gesture. I think he was even given a game ball by one of the TV shows today for enjoying that.
Yeah. Well, hey, listen, I'm just glad that our guys went out and performed at a high level yesterday. And, look, when you're having success and guys are playing hard and making plays, a lot of guys are having fun.
Yeah, DA, I think Cam has said a few times now he's a rundowns player. I think that was something that was spurred by the injury initially. As he's getting healthier, do you foresee that continuing in terms of kind of that split with him?
Yeah, look, I think it kind of depends on where Cam is from a health standpoint and what he's capable of doing. He's been good on the rundowns for us. He's still a little bit limited as to where he is from a health standpoint. So I think we just keep working to see, if he continues to get better and where he's at from a health standpoint and play him accordingly.
Dennis, your locker room speech, you pointed out that you challenged Jawan Johnson specifically and that he stepped up to it. What was sort of the nature of your challenge to him?
Look, I think Jawan's a talented player. I think the challenge is that, with opportunity and you take advantage of opportunity, then you get more opportunity. And so I thought there was a couple of plays in the game where he took advantage of his opportunity. So I thought that was really good to see how he responded.
Did you get any feedback from the league on whether that Alontae Taylor call was missed?
I did not. I didn't ask.
What do you think, Coach?
I think I'm getting ready for the Rams.
Dennis, with you guys holding walkthroughs, how might that affect statuses of like Chris Olave and Ramchuk just not being able to maybe
I mean, in terms of how it affects their status, I don't think it affects their status at all. We'll see what they're able to do, and then we'll kind of go from there.
DA, any update you're able to share on Lonnie Johnson Jr.'s situation? Or with the injury that he had?
Yeah, Lonnie, had a knee injury, and it's gonna take a little bit of time for him to get back. Now, what's a little bit of time? I can't tell you that exactly.
Sure. Was there something that y'all scouted in the Giants defense that sort of led to maybe during that first drive not using Alvin, instead going with Jamal early on?
No, look, I mean, I just think, as the game plan unfolded, there was each week there's a certain amount of plays that, you kind of have earmarked for Alvin, and then you got some plays that you have earmarked for Jamal. I don't think that was anything that was, overly like, oh, well, we're gonna start this way and do this. There was a couple of run plays I think that we liked, early. There was a couple of things in terms of protection that we liked early, and so some of those plays went to Jamal. But I think, when it's all said and done, Alvin's going to get, plenty of his opportunities, and we need to continue to give him some opportunities.
And how have you liked what you've seen from Jamal here recently?
Look, I think, as he's gotten more and more healthy, I think he's playing better each and every week. Typically, I think probably one of the things he's probably done the best, although he got beat, the other day, but one of the things he's done the best is his pass protection's been outstanding. So, he's a big physical back that can get the tough yards for us. And I think he's a nice compliment to Alvin.
Dennis, since you were uncertain on Lonnie's timetable, does that rule out like something you would know was significant, like an ACL or anything like that?
No, it's nothing like that. I mean, it's probably going to be a week to week basis, but it's not anything that's I'd say real long term, I guess is the best way to say it.
Coach, I know your quarterback's been in the league a long time, but when he has a 3-touchdown day like he did yesterday, for even a veteran player can come into a new scenario, can that give him a little extra jolt, you think?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think obviously for all of us that when you have success, it breeds a little bit of confidence. And so, Derek's been in the league, a long time, and he's played well in this league, played well the other day. I'm sure he gained some confidence off of that exposure, and particularly, with, a couple of weapons not available to him and played the way that he did. I thought that was good. That was good for him. That was good for us as a team. And hopefully we can continue to build on that as we go forward.
Dennis, after reviewing the tape, how effective was Demario Davis in stopping the run? And was this maybe one of his better games this season?
Yeah, look, I thought he played exceptionally well. I think, we kind of challenged some of the, veteran older players this week to, step up and be at their best when their best is required. And I think a lot of those guys kind of took that as a personal challenge. And I thought you saw some of our veteran players really step up and play at an exceptionally high level. I think Demario obviously was one of those guys. The first part of that game, I thought he was all over the place, and I thought he played really well in the game.
So do you need to see something like that yesterday, not just from him, but like just from your team in general after kind of preaching it for weeks, like just kind of that return to form maybe?
Yeah, look, I mean, I think kind of being able to get off to a pretty good start. I mean, obviously, they get the field goal on the first drive. We had the penalty on the punt, but defensively, our guys got off the field, on the first drive, 3 and out, and then we forced them to have to kick a 56-yard field goal. So you got to give them credit for being able to execute the long field goal. And then I thought from that point on, I thought, our guys, got after it pretty good. So it was good to, kind of play from a lead. And I thought our guys, you talk about rushing the passer. I think that's one area that, allows you to rush the passer a little bit better is when you're playing from a lead and you kind of know what's coming.
Dennis, Kyron Williams had, I think, 400-yard games his last 5. What do you see out of him as a runner and within the team in particular?
Well, I think they're blocking it really well up front. Their receivers are some of the best blockers in our league. They block extremely hard on the perimeter. They do a great job. They know who to target. They get on their targets. And I think, really both their runners are kind of, downhill, one-cut runners. They're tough runners. They run physical. They get down in behind their pads. They're able to push the pile. I think schematically, offensively, they do a good job of putting their guys in good positions. And I think their guys take pride in blocking in the run game, and they've been exceptionally well at it.
It's going to be tough, man, against the Rams, man. Those guys run the ball really well. They're very physical, fast, and he's right about the wide receivers. They do block well to open up things for those guys. They're coached well, and they are winning some games there. And the Rams kind of been for this season. They're not a lot of people, early on in the season, just like the Saints are. People are a bit disappointed with the Rams because they thought they'll be better than just a 500 club. Same thing with the Saints. And Cooper Kupp is there. They have a really good running game. Matthew Stafford is healthy. And like I said, the last time we see Matthew Stafford in the matchup with the Saints, we beat them, but we beat the Rams. The Saints defense knocked Matthew Stafford out of the game. And then they put some other guy in there, and then it went south for them. But in this game, Stafford has the team winning. They're on a winning streak. They are playing really good football. And like I said, it's going to be kind of difficult for the Saints in this one. So, but the thing is, like I said, this is playoff time, and it's time for them to show up and show out. Bottom line, both the teams are 7-7. Actually, the Rams, they've won 4 out of the last 5 games. They beat the Commanders. They lost to the Ravens 2 weeks ago, but but out of the last 5 games, they're 4-1 out of the last 5 games. So they kind of beating teams, getting in positions. So the Saints this is going to be a difficult matchup. This team, and then the thing was it'd be interesting to see if they went to Washington to take on the Commanders, right? But they didn't. They were at home, so they just beat the Commanders, and now they're waiting on the Saints. Saints got to travel out there to LA to take them on after what happened with the Saints. So it's going to be interesting going forward between these two teams. But yeah, Saints got it's going to be a tough contest, but we got to win regardless, right?
Challenging the older guys. I guess that kind of goes to the red gas cans we saw around the locker room last week. But how's that message sort of received by those guys?
Well, look, I didn't ask the question, but I think the answer was on the field on Sunday, and I think that's generally, what you're looking for. I'm not really, asking for a verbal response. I want to see how you respond in terms of your play. And I thought those guys really stepped up this week.
Dennis, with someone like Chris Olave, who said yesterday, I guess he's day to day. Does the short week and kind of longer flight make a possible game time decision any tougher to figure out? I guess, would you have to decide if you want that player on a long flight on a short week?
Yeah. Well, we're probably a little early in the week to kind of try to think about that. Other than, look, I think we just got to see where he's at tomorrow. I thought he had a good day in his rehab today. I expect him to be able to participate in some form or fashion. Again, it's just walkthrough, so I would expect for him to be able to participate tomorrow in some form or fashion.
DA, just to clarify for some online chatter, there were some questions about, okay, is Ronald Curry, Pete Carmichael, how are they operating on the sideline? Have there been any adjustments to the offensive play calling at all over the past few weeks? Or are you kind of doing the same thing you've been doing?
It's been the same operation that we've had all season long.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Does that really surprise anybody? It's been the same thing, and we know it's been stinking. And twice during the season, because I remember what they say when they tell me, and I'm just throwing it back at them. Twice during the season, when the offense was stagnant, the pressure was on Pete Carmichael and Dennis Allen and Mickey Loomis to change something up. Triplet asked a very good question. Online chatter means you. The family members. He must have changed something up, right? And the answer is no, of course he didn't. He didn't change anything. And I knew that. He didn't change anything because he doesn't. He never changes anything. He never changes anything. He just keeps doing the same thing until it hopefully gets a victory. So anyway, that's going to be in the Dennis Allen, man. Anyway, same damn thing. But anyway, let me do this, fam, before I get into this other article I want to share with you guys. Let me go over the Saints schedule. And listen, 2-game winning streak is good, but this is the Saints' third 2-game winning streak of the season. All right. This is the third time the Saints have won 2 games in a row. The third time. All right. The first time they did it, I got the schedule on screen so you guys can see it. We beat Tennessee and Carolina, turned around and lost to Green Bay and Tampa. Right. The second time we did it, wins against the Colts and the Bears, then lost 3 straight, Minnesota, Atlanta, and Detroit. Just giving you a little history here. Then, of course, we beat Carolina and New York. What do we do with the next 3? We have not done a 3-game winning streak, but we've done 3 2-game winning streaks. So what will we do against matchups on a short week against Los Angeles? And both of those are games on the road in LA. Then one tough game against Tampa Bay that can ultimately probably end up deciding the NFC South, because I think Atlanta is already deteriorating. They're falling through the floor, but we still need that win. But this is going to be interesting. So at least we get an extra kind of a mini bye getting ready for Tampa, going out to Tampa Bay for that matchup. So anyway, first thing first with Los Angeles, can the Saints keep this going? First 2 matchup, the 3, like I said, 3 2-game winning streaks preceded by, how did they do it? Like I said, first time they did it, they lost 2 after that. Second time they did it, they lost 3 after that. The third time, can they clear out? Can they win out? We don't have any more room for error. Saints have to win out. No ifs, ands, and buts about it. I just wanted to share that with you. All right, so anyway, let's get to this article right here before we get ready to close the stream. Salary cap addition, Saints makeover. Shout out to NFTR. That's NFL Trade Rumors. Did a really good article about the money. This is a peer into the 24 season coming up next year. So as you can see, according to these numbers come from Over the Cap. Over the Cap is where they get these numbers from. You can see the projected numbers for the Saints. And of course, we know that the cap is going to go up as well. How much of it's going to gobble up the $98.7 million the Saints are currently looking at. So a little backdrop, salary cap. Cap is the maximum of any NFL team can spend over a player's salary, especially every team gets the same pie and can choose how to split it up. Dead money is that term for money that has already been paid to a player and will count against a team's salary cap no matter what. Restructure, counting trick teams can use to manage the cap in any given year. Signing bonus money is always prorated, spread equally over the remaining years of the contract. That means teams can convert all the minimum of a player's base salary to a signing bonus and reduce the cap hit at the expense of increasing dead money into future years, which is what the Saints do. June 1st designation, trick for teams. After June 1st, when the player is cut, the dead money is split over those 2 years instead of the accelerating to the current year. The team can designate 2 players a year as June 1st cuts, then cut them before the date without the dead money hit. Void years, essentially dummy years. I call them phantom years. that are added onto a deal, usually to help spread out the cap hits with restructures. They are not actual contract years that teams or players are required to fulfill. It's just another cap trick, how Mickey spreads out money over these phantom years, which that's how they avoid spreading and making things do. Now that we got that out of the way, the Saints facing $98.7 million. This will be the fourth year they've done a version of this piece looking ahead at the salary cap situation. The Saints will be with the most work to do with the balance books in 24. The Saints will face the biggest deficit yet. They will need to create over $100 million in cap space to be able to function in the offseason. They created well over $100 million in cap space each of the past two off seasons in order to have room to operate. And this coming off season, they need to do just as much to break even. Despite the sticker shock the Saints or that Saints have, they might have to give some people, if it's not a surprise to the Saints family members. Saints have created over $100 million in cap space each of the past two seasons, are in a position partially by design. The Saints have been one of the most aggressive organizations philosophically when it comes down to cap management and restructuring contract for years. That's the trick of Mickey Loomis. Two guiding principles, though, behind the Saints salary cap tactics are the better part of the last decade. First is the desire to always compete, eschewing a reset or rebuilding year in favor of maximizing the chances of any given year of contending for a Super Bowl. When they had Breeze throwing passes and Peyton coaching, that made a lot of sense. The second is that a dollar in cap space today is worth more than a dollar of cap space tomorrow due to the NFL's consistent salary cap growth over the last two collective bargaining agreements. In the CBA, the cap grew by $10 million a year. Under the latest one, it could grow as much as $16 million or more annually. The growth made cap space in the present more valuable than cap space in the future because it represents a bigger percentage of the overall pie. It helped the Saints offset money that they were pushing out to future years. Since then, Breeze is gone, Peyton's gone, and the pandemic caused the NFL salary cap to drop for the first time in a decade, but the Saints doubled down on the salary cap strategy. It's fair to question the wisdom of that given results. They failed to run away with a horrid NFC South. Their offense is stagnant despite paying for a veteran QB car this offseason, and their aging defense won't be able to keep them afloat forever. This offseason presents another interesting pivot. If the Saints end up missing the playoffs, they will have to consider making major changes to the coaching staff and front office. They resisted shaking things up in the name of continuity, but that gets harder and harder to justify without results. If they decide to finally can't avoid hitting the reset button, all bets are off for now until they proceed. So over the next 3 weeks, a lot will tell if a lot of the philosophy or perhaps what this writer is conveying to us will actually be the case. The Saints, and this is something that Mickey Loomis, and that's here come that memory again. We talked about this before the season started when Mickey Loomis got on the mic. He talked about moving everything back to center. Stop doing all of the kick the can tactics that the Saints were using and kind of legislated back to the center. That was his language or something to that degree, where he talked about getting away from the kicking can and being more responsible with the money for the Saints. That's what Mickey said, but of course his actions have not conveyed that, right? Car troubles. The challenge the Saints have already boxed themselves into some degree in 24. The Saints guaranteed Carr an entire $30 million base salary in 24, plus $10 million roster bonus in 25. That becomes guaranteed in March 17th of 2024. The only way to cleanly escape all of that is via trade, and given the way Carr has played the season, it's highly improbable another team bails the Saints out. Cutting Carr before his bonus is due will at least save $10 million, but then the Saints will need to find a new starting quarterback with $30 million less to work with. Maybe that's the best option in the end, but it's clear from the way the contract was structured that both sides envisioned it at least 2-year commitment. There are void years through 29 that would enable the Saints to restructure Carr's deal for maximum savings in 24 and 25. Restructuring Carr in 24 would add $23 million of much needed cap space flexibility, but it would limit their options again the following offseason by increasing the dead money burden. The Saints have to evaluate if that still makes sense, regardless of what the plan was back in March. So when you start talking about money and the fact that that's why the Saints have car propped up there with painkillers, broken ribs, everything, and they're just shooting them up with painkillers because this is what at stake. If the Saints don't make the playoffs, Mickey Loomis could get fired, Dennis Allen can get fired. A lot of stuff can shake and happen because if they don't make the playoffs for a third straight year, the Who Dat Nation is not going to support this team like that. They know that. They know they're already suffering from some support issues right now because of bad play. Now, they did beat a bad Carolina team who couldn't make a completion, and they did beat a new Giants team who were on a 3-game winning streak. So you can't take that away from them. The Giants were actually playing good football until the Saints smacked them down. But in the end, that's just 2 games. Like I've said before, not trying to steal your joy. I'm just citing facts and history. The Saints have had 3 2-game winning streaks this year. And most of the 3 game, they had 3 2-game winning streaks. And after the 2-game winning streaks, the Saints had losing streaks after the 2 wins. Can they change that? Now, they got to win out because it's time to play. But there is no turning back from the Carr dilemma. The Carr dilemma is they have to operate through him monetarily speaking. Restructure candidates. Let's leave Carr's contract alone for a moment. The Saints will need to restructure a long list of players to get under the cap, even if they decide to hit the reset button. And the Saints, he's right on the reset button. The Saints never want to use the reset button. They will talk Drew Brees, give him a blank check. And that's what happened the last several years when the Saints should have drafted Lamar Jackson and Sean Payton didn't draft him because Sean Payton's weakness is it's like kryptonite for him is that he can't develop a rookie quarterback. That's why he always looks for a veteran that had several years under his belt to teach a system to. That's why when he was looking around for teams to go to, he was only pinpointing teams that had veteran quarterbacks or quarterbacks he can work with. He wanted to go down to Arizona, but he didn't like the report that they got from Kyler Murray and when would he be available to play. He didn't want that, so he went to Denver, where Russell Wilson was at. Now he's having some success up there with the veteran. He cannot school or bring up rookie quarterbacks. That's one thing Peyton has never done. Now, if he can do it, I never seen him do it. I never seen it. The Saints will need to restructure a long list of players to get under the cap, and then you have the restructure savings of some of these players. Lattimore, who was given a contract several years ago, over $10 million. Ramczyk, definitely Ramczyk. I've often talked about Ramczyk being overpaid. He's not lived up to that contract. He's been dealing with knee issues, and he looks, I ain't gonna say he's a shell of himself, but he's very normal looking. He's very normal looking, and word on the street is that knee's not getting any better. So they have to do something about this whole situation with Ram. They're gonna have to take some of that money back. And matter of fact, the restructuring savings is a lot larger for Ramczyk. They definitely have to think about that. Then you got Demario Davis with 8, Cam with 9.4, Eric McCoy 6.7, Ruiz 6.6. Let me tell you something. Saints going to touch every last one of those contracts. They're going to touch every last one of those contracts to get that $98 million or whatever the hell it is. And after the salary cap goes up maybe 16, 15, wherever that, between 10 to $16 million, wherever it's going to fall, it takes some of that money off. For the Saints, they're going to have to touch at least 10 of the top contracts to get all that money. I wouldn't be surprised if they run through all of those because they're going to not only have to get into the black from the red, but they're going to have to open up money so they can participate in free agency and pay their rookies, whoever they draft. So yes, they got 9. And then if you look at all this, what they got here, that's almost $100 million in cap restructurings that can get back. And of course, he goes into the individual breakdown about some of these guys. We're saying that only one decimal shown simple restructures with no void years. Lattimore and Ramczyk, top of the list. Even though they're older, Cam Jordan, Demario Davis are likely restructure candidates. Saints guaranteed Jordan $13 million in 24. His new deal that's past summer, and Davis is still playing at a high level, even though he's 35. During max restructures with void years for those 4 players would create $40 million in space, a big chunk, but still not even halfway there. McCoy, Ruiz, and Granderson are on the list. All of them have signed extensions. Ruiz and Granderson a bonus in 24, especially specifically to be restructured. That's another 20 plus mil. Players like Jamal Williams, Nate Shepard, James Hurst, JT Gray, Foster Moreau. I want to say James Hurst is a free agent. I think Hurst is a free agent, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to have to check that. JT Gray, Foster Roy, Kalen Saunders aren't core players, but they're already have guaranteed money or have played well enough to be in the team's plans for 24. I don't know about Hurst, even though it's just the thing. Like with the Saints, I really do think, and they probably won't do it, but the Saints really need to really truly consider kind of upgrading the offensive line. Like James Hurst gave us a lot of years, but James Hurst is not who he was years prior. I mean, he's went down, you know. We really need to find us in the draft or perhaps in free agency. If we can afford to, we need to retool the left side of the offensive line. And I'm gonna give you my little breakdown at the end of the season when the season's over with. I'm gonna give a whole little presentation on what I think the Saints should do at the end of the year. And I'm gonna have all of my facts and stuff and all that and make it like a presentation to the family members. We'll do it at the end of the year. That takes us to some trickier decision. The biggest remaining cap hits on offense outside the car belonging to Kamara, Taysom Hill, and there's a case to be made that those two have been the Saints' best or at least their most consistent players on offense this season. But Hill will be 34 and 24 and still a gadget player the Saints sometimes struggle to integrate effectively into the game plan. Kamara will be 29, which is nearly equivalent of 34 in running back years. Restructuring either player comes with some downside. Still, the Saints don't have a lot of options, and the way Kamara and Hill have played in 23 would endure some confidence. Kamara's deal actually already includes a void year of 24 restructure, which would save $8 million. Restructuring Hill contracts adds another almost $7 million. So as you can see, they got them beat down. Now that's enough to put on their back. But there are some people that are not going to be on the 53-man roster, and they got to sign the draft picks, let alone any other moves. They will have one June 1st designation to use if they cut Michael Thomas, probably for real this time after two sides hammered out at least a last-minute extension. Andrews Pete and Jameis Winston are candidates, but both using on Winston will save a little more in cap space because Winston's a free agent and Andrews Pete is gone. So that's $7.3 million the Saints have put towards signing draft picks. Other contracts the Saints can look forward to creating space for them is Tyrann Mathieu. Marcus May is another dude. Do we really need Marcus May? You know, we might have to consider, like, we looking at some of the veteran players. Marcus May's missed some games. He missed games last year. He missed games this year. And Jordan Howden's been playing knockdown, drag-out football for the Saints. Do we really need Marcus May back is what I'm saying. But anyway, Juwan Johnson, all three would be entering contract years in 24. The savings of cutting each player would be minimal, but the restructurings over a net $14 million additional cap space. Both May and Mathieu are over 30, and Johnson didn't follow through on what he expected to be a breakout season. But we still have a couple of games, Juwan Johnson, and that's not all on Juwan. You know, and some of our wide receivers, you got to factor the quarterback, offensive line in there as well. But at the risk of sounding like a broken record, the Saints don't have a ton of options. The TL or DR. A lot of words to say. The Saints basically need to restructure everyone not named Carr, even fill the team in 24, maxing out everything and using June 1st cuts on Thomas and Winston, giving the Saints around $13 million in effective cap space, which is enough to maybe sign a cheap veteran or two, not materially addressing a flawed roster outside of the draft. If they run it back with Carr, they can add another $23 million via restructure that gives them a respectable off-season budget, albeit one with no margin for error. But if the Saints want to get off this hamster wheel of contract restructures, they probably need to make Carr a June 1st cut, draft a replacement, or start 2023 first-round draft pick Jake Haener, or both, max out their restructures and operate in a shoestring budget with an emphasis on finding young, cheap contributors for 25 and beyond. It will be fascinating to see what path the Saints choose. It all depends, because it's hard to put a stamp on it, because they don't, most of the times they don't operate like a team that have some sense. They don't operate like a team that have sense sometimes, you know. So we're going to see how it all hammers out, man. But that's a little look into the future of what the team is looking like, fam, in 2024. So we still have a lot of time here. And based on what the team does over the next 3 games, we'll decide on what the future could be for the Saints. They got, you know, if they have to make the playoffs, and that's what this is. This is a playoff or bust year for this team. They got to step up and handle the business. So anyway, with that being said, fam, we're going to get ready to get out on it. I hope y'all enjoyed the stream today. Much love for the fam out there, man. I appreciate y'all for being this one, man. Like I said, man, we'll be back on Patreon Tuesday tomorrow to kind of look at the film on there as well. But yeah, it's a lot of stuff going on to Saints. The Saints have a lot of pressure on them to perform this year. Even though we just kind of focusing on this year, we talk about what they need to do. Getting win. They're spending all of this money on Derek Carr. They've really kind of put all their chips on Carr. That's a lot of money to give him. And they really gave him the money thinking that he was the last piece that could guide the team back to respectability. The Saints team wasn't a team that was down in the dumps. This was a team loaded with talent on both the defense and offensive side of the ball. Splendid contract for Jamal Williams. That is a perfect compliment for Alvin Kamara. Just disappointing that Jamal Williams' numbers are what they are this year. And Alvin's numbers are what they should be vastly greater than what they are. It was just totally under the utilization of our offensive assets. Even when we had them healthy, it was just all of this foolishness. And they should have moved like a team that had urgency from week 1 to 2, as opposed to sit there and wait for things to happen. Now you sitting at 7-7. It's nothing to smile about. You're still at 7-7. You happen to fight back to 500. The team got a history of once they win 2 games in a row, they then go on a losing streak. Can they break their old rhythms, their old habits? Can they win out for the rest of the year? The answer is of course, the Saints, Mickey and Gail and everybody, they want the Saints to win out because that's the only way the Saints going to get in the playoffs. Now, you might lose a game here and something fall into their laps. They might have Tampa to lose another one. But if you really want what you say you want, which is the playoffs, you would want to win these next 3 games. You know, you're going to have to beat these teams. And probably the Rams are going to be the tougher of the 3 teams that they play because how the Rams are. They play real well up in SoFi. You know, they got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers team they're going to be dealing with. But at the end of the day, the Saints back themselves into a corner, man, and they got to fight like a possum to get up out like a possum with his back up against the wall. They're going to have to scrap and fight to get it. All right, so anyway, with that being said, man, I'm going to get out on that, man. Shout out to family. Let me hit a couple of comments before I leave. Daniel says to the team and ones that don't perform well and replace them with players that actually want to be Saints and that would actually love the city of New Orleans, Louisiana. Who that? Thank you, Daniel. Appreciate that, bro. Much love. Appreciate y'all. But yeah, it's a lot going on, man. And hopefully we can get this dub, man, and push past this stuff. But it's going to be interesting to see how this all is handled at the end of the season. So with that, I'm going to get on out of that. I appreciate y'all for hollering at me and listening to me today. I'll be back Tuesday on Patreon for the family members. We'll go over all 22 on the game. We'll go over some other stuff as well. We'll talk about all the latest news on Saint stuff on Patreon Tuesday. So if you want to join us on that, feel free to head on over to www.patreon.com/the Pro Media Network. That's www.patreon.com/the PRO Media Network. With that being said, I'm going to holler at y'all on the flip side. Much love. Who dat?
Yeah. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who dat. I'm a who dat. Long as I'm living, I'm a who dat. Lose or winning, I'm a who dat. Sports coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, 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 huh? Boogie like Benson, I'm a who dat. I'm a who dat. Sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like Elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your shame for the championship. Bucking on Tampa, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy and you probably smell the crooked referees or Roger Goodell. Yeah, fucking like this and I'm a who dat. Every day I'm living, I'm a who dat. Lose or winning, I'm a who dat. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like this and I'm a who dat. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
Who that say?
Platforms store where you can go and buy all the latest merch to support the platform. Available at the Pro Shops, we have dozens of hundreds of products available for you and your family. Unisex tees for men and women, hoodies and sweatshirts, tank tops, kids and baby items, long sleeve tees, mugs, pillows, wall art, bath bedding, face masks, phone cases, stickers, bags, fanny packs, socks, hats, and many other items. Please feel free to check out the Pro Shops. The link is in the description section below. And remember, it helps the platform continue to grow. Check out the Pro Shop and Who That Too.
TheWhoThatDaily.com. That's right, TheWhoThatDaily.com. Your one-stop shop for everything New Orleans Saints, New Orleans Pelicans, LSU Tigers, even the top flight boxing news. So if you're a Who That and you're looking for a place to stay up on your team, TheWhoThatDaily.com is your site. TheWhoThatDaily.com for the sport Who That in all of us. HomeBistro.com. Freshly prepared home